Hello, my name is John Borzilleri. I'm a physician. I graduated from New York University School of Medicine in 1985. I also have a business degree, an MBA from Columbia University. I graduated in 1991. For the last 30 years, I have been a professional healthcare investment analyst, which means I cover everything in healthcare very closely, especially the companies, pharmaceutical companies, biotechnology companies, health insurance companies, and the insurance companies that are responsible for managing our drug benefits in this country. Those are called pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs. Although insurance companies and PBMs are all one and the same now, after lots more mergers. I have started this website called Drug Price Truth and a related YouTube channel and a Facebook page for a very specific goal. It is to inform and hopefully engage the American public about what I've been doing over the last 6+ years as a federal whistleblower to try to address one of the biggest crises that has affected this country in the last several decades. The massive increase in U.S. brand drug prices that is causing astounding harm to all Americans, but especially people with very severe diseases like diabetics who can't get insulin, cancer patients struggling to pay for $100,000, $200,000 drugs, multiple sclerosis patients, and people with lots and lots of serious conditions. But it has affected us all. Okay? And in my job as a physician and an ethical investor, more than 6 years ago now, I uncovered the remarkably simple but highly secretive corporate price collusion scheme behind virtually every instance of these massive drug price increases. That sounds outlandish, but you're going to see from this website that it's true. Okay? The scheme is actually very simple. Behind the scenes, secretly, the drug industry, drug companies have partnered with the health insurance companies, these PBMs, to massively raise drug prices to make a lot of money while passing the costs on to all of us. You're going to see lots of information on this website, legal documents with lots of details of how this has actually worked. In the end, it's a very simple scheme. The drug companies and these insurance companies have been partners, and they've been doing it for a very long time now, 10 to 15 years. Okay? And while they've been doing this, they've been pretending out there in the public that they're actually enemies, both acting in the public interest, when they've actually been secretly very close partners. Okay? Kind of shocking. How did it work? Why did it happen? When did it start? And I will tell you, it all happened for a very specific reason and at a very specific time point. It all began when the Medicare Part D program began, which was put into law in 2003 and started in 2006. A wonderful program in many ways. It has helped a lot of people. It gave outpatient drug coverage to senior citizens in this country for the first time. Very important, right? Unfortunately, it also opened up astounding corporate pricing abuse, in large part because it was the first time ever that a program was allowed to be managed by private industry. Namely, just 4 dominant insurance company PBMs that now control 80 to 90% of Part D, and they also control 80-90% of the rest of our benefits in the private insurance market. You may have a plan that has a different name, but through a partnership or directly, just 4 companies control access to drugs in this country. And they are United Healthcare, they have a PBM division called Optum, Cigna and Express Scripts, which just merged to make it even more concentrated and troubling. CVS and Aetna that merged to just make it more concentrated and troubling. And Humana. Those 4 companies are at the center of this scheme. They have been getting these secret payments tied directly to massive price increases from pharmaceutical companies. And why Part D? Well, Part D provided them with this secret little loophole that I uncovered a long time ago now that enables them to make these payments without them really telling anyone about it and not reporting it to anybody in their financial statements, not telling their clients, not telling their business clients, not telling patients, and not reporting it properly in Medicare Part D. And these secret payments are called fees. In Part D, they're called, the legal term is bona fide service fees. And what they are supposed to be legitimately for is providing support for patients and the use of the drugs, right? So a drug is used more, you provide more support, you get more of these fees. That's what they're supposed to be for. And PBMs provide largely very standardized, mundane services such as refill reminders, shipping and handling, website stuff. That's mostly what they do, okay? Very standardized, relatively low-cost stuff, right? Okay? But rather than stick to the legitimate use of this fee arrangement, they decided, for profit, to tie these fees to massive price increases for drugs and structure the arrangements, this is key, where the drug companies are giving them a percentage of every sticker price increase on these drugs for the last 10 to 15 years. And we've had 8 to 10-fold price increases for a lot of old drugs, MS, cancer, insulins, etc., driven by this. And these PBMs have been getting a lot of money with each and every price increase. For a while, there were 15 to 20% price increases in a lot of these drugs three times a year, right? Before Part D, these drugs cost the same amount in Europe and US. Now they cost 8 to 10 times more in America. All began with Medicare Part D. Sadly, it didn't stay just in Medicare Part D. This same secret payment change also is out in the private insurance market, harming us all very much, but no more harming especially the people with the severe diseases where these price increases have been egregious. Now, what's the problem with this for these drug companies and these PBMs, these secret payments? Well, the problem is that the laws are very clear in Part D and otherwise that you can't just pay them for price increases. And rather than pay them for legitimately providing support for patients, they began doing this for a lot of drugs where the sales are skyrocketing for the drug company, driven entirely by price increases, massive price increases, while the use of the drug in many of these old drugs is declining because of competition in other factors. That's what's happened on a routine way. So what that means is that they're paying these insurance companies for nothing other than the price increases. Massive increases in sales to the drug company, massive increases in fees to the insurance company, right? For doing a lot less work. That's not allowed by the law. I won't go into the details here. It's all in these legal documents. That's what's called a kickback. And in some cases, these products, the ones focused on in my Whistleblower documents you're going to see, it's really extreme. Massive increases in sales for products where the use by patients and doctors is down more than 60 or 70% over the decade, with massive increase in sales driven only by the price increases. Right? That's how extreme it has been. Okay? All right. I uncovered this in mid-2013. I've been following these companies, these industries for 20 years. It was a shock when I uncovered these secret new payments. I had no idea. These companies still to this day really don't talk about them at all. Don't put them in their financial statements. So you might ask, how do I really know this is true? After I uncovered this in mid-2013, I got a flyer about a meeting about these secret little fees, bona fide service fees. In October of 2013, I attended it for 2 days with another colleague. We sat there for 2 days and listened as 50 to 60 pharmaceutical executives, insurance executives, the big corporate attorneys that work with them in this special area, consultants that are specially focused on these secret fees, and they admitted the entire thing about the entire business plan had changed because of Part D. That they didn't make any money from these fees before, and now they were making all their money on these fees. That the discounts that they were supposed to be negotiating for us weren't part of the important part of the profits for the PBMs anymore, which is what everybody still assumes to this day. I tell you, I was absolutely shocked coming out of that meeting. Comments such as from major people there, when is the government going to know what's really going on? I sure hope nobody's tape recording this. What did I do with this? As a good citizen and an honest investor, I did not want to be part of this. Right? As a physician, felt it was my obligation to try to stop this. We all know how much people are being harmed. It was beginning then, it's much worse now. I immediately wrote up my notes to this meeting and all the other work I'd done about this. And through a friend of our family, the lawyer, we contacted the Justice Department to relay this information. This is just a couple of weeks later, October of 2013. With their encouragement, the Justice Department's encouragement, I filed the first of 2 whistleblower cases under the False Claims Act, early January of 2014. A lot of work. And in our conversations with the Justice Department, we were assured that this would be a relatively quick investigation. It's not complicated. These secret contracts at a national level, very centrally controlled by the top of these organizations, data and information easily accessible, and I had given them the names and contact information for 40 to 45 first-hand industry insiders that were directly involved in this from this meeting, including their direct statements. All the documents you're going to see. Right? Offered my endless assistance to help them in any way, and that's what I did. Provided them a lot more information over time, even offered to quit my job to help. This was such a social problem. Unfortunately, that was the high point of my experience with the Justice Department in this investigation. Right? Ended up filing another case a year and a half later as the price increases continued to escalate on all the drugs, including the MS drugs and insulins and MS drugs and rheumatoid arthritis drugs and other drugs. The harm is just getting worse every day for the American public. Ultimately, in 4 years of investigation, federal government never even brought in one of these witnesses that I gave them in the original filing. Never. Never brought one in under oath to ask them about this. I always said that would have opened up Pandora's box to a million directions. I also gave them more witnesses over time, directly admitting this. Didn't pursue them. Okay? Didn't pursue major parts of the stuff that was written in the lawsuits. We'll talk about that more later. And I started pushing back. A couple years into this, I was like, you're not really investigating. Perhaps you should get out of the way for me as a federal experienced whistleblower, right, to pursue this on my own with my lawyer, for the public interest. Okay? That finally happened. 4 years later, April of 2018. By then, the harm is so much more from the straightforward scheme. And I will tell you, nothing that was provided to the government was ever factually disputed. So then finally, April of 2018, myself, my lawyer, get to finally go after it on our own. And there's a lot more evidence, including direct admissions from some of these companies about this scheme. And a lot more evidence and a lot more harm. All the prices in these cases had doubled again since I filed the cases. The harm was even much greater than that because it compounds. Okay? So we began doing it, working really hard. Filed against all these defendants on our own by the end of the summer of 2018. And that's where it really got disturbing. Hadn't heard from the Justice Department whatsoever. 6, 7, 8 months. All of a sudden we get contacted. The Justice Department is going to seek to dismiss these cases to prevent us from pursuing them in the court. That's what they're going to do. Haven't heard from them. And their main argument is, one, that it's not worth their time or the government resources to monitor what we're doing. Thought that was very strange considering we weren't aware they were actually doing anything, hadn't heard from them for 8 months. They also included, for the first time, making personally disparaging statements about me. Someone who had lost his job because of this. So going, retaliating against a whistleblower, which was unfortunate and unprofessional and inaccurate. Anyway, that's exactly what the government did. As we were getting our final filings into the court in November of 2019, a month later, just before Christmas, federal government filed to dismiss these cases, claiming primarily it wasn't worth their time to monitor what we're doing. To give you perspective, these cases, 11 pharmaceutical defendants, 22 major drugs, most of them multi-billion dollar drugs, right? Massive 8 to 10-fold price increases that should never have happened over the last decade. Severely competitively threatened products, most of them shocking increases in sales driven only by price increases. No one's using the drug, and the drug companies are paying fees to the PBMs, insurance companies on this, and these fees are virtually all of their profits on these drugs. That's the simple scheme. Right? $175 billion. That's the kind of harm you're talking about when you have multi-billion dollar drugs going up only for price increases over a decade. The harm is $10 to $12 billion or more for individual drugs. Sounds outlandish, but it's just true when something's going on this long. Right? We then got forced, against our will. I've been trying to cooperate with the government for 5 years, trying to stop this. Right? We have to say in court filings disparaging things about our own government and what they failed to investigate, evidence they failed to look at. Something I never would want to do. Right? Including stuff under oath. Right? Thought, how could the court not allow these to go forward given the massive public harm? Unfortunately, that is exactly what happened. Dead silence. 6 months later, 8 months later, we get the rulings from the court. Cases dismissed. Right? They bought the argument, basically agreed with the Department of Justice. Monitoring this is a legitimate reason to end these cases entirely. Right? So in July, September, these cases were dismissed, which means that this massive amount of public harm with a lot of evidence, right, dismissed against all of these drug companies at this point without them ever having to answer a single question in a courtroom, right? Without me getting the opportunity to bring in witnesses that had been provided to the government that they didn't pursue. All of this. And this is where we stand now. So now here I am doing something I never expected to have to do. Go public as a good citizen of this country, right? Because I have failed to get institutions to do something about this remarkably straightforward scheme causing unimaginable harm. And that's where it stands now. So my goal now is simple, right? Get regular people to see this information. See what you think. I got a feeling you're going to be disturbed because there's a lot of bad stuff here. Okay, and you're going to realize, I think most of you, when this is done, this never needed to happen. Could have been stopped a long time ago, right? And it's not complicated in any way, shape, or form. Keep a few things in mind. This is all public information. This is all in court filings. This has been out there for a year and a half public. I have tried to get lots of healthcare experts to look at this. People for 30 years haven't been able to get them to even look at it or say a word. That is a very clear indication of its accuracy, I will tell you that. Second, nothing you're going to hear has ever been factually disputed by the drug industry, by the PBM industry, by the government. Nothing. I stand behind it all as it's being accurate and truthful. Second, this is not about making money for me. It never was. I never cared if I made money on these KETAM documents, KETAM cases. Never cared. This was, I'm a physician. This has to stop. I'm not going to be part of making money off of people being harmed. That is not acceptable to me. Third, this is not about politics or anything like that. Every survey in this country shows this is one of the few issues, right? Whether you're the most conservative person in this world, the most liberal person, anybody in between, they've had it up to here with drug prices. And healthcare in general. We are all aware of that. I hear endless stories from people of what's going on in healthcare. Everybody knows. Every year it's worse, and every year we're paying more and getting worse coverage. It's universal across this country. So I have lots of friends who are very conservative, very liberal. They all respond to the same thing. Okay? All I ask is you to share this with people. Give me your thoughts, your ideas. And I'm trying to engage people because I have unfortunately had to conclude that this is not going to change unless American people really demand it. There's a lot of talk down there in Washington, lots of things going on. I will sum it up in one word, one sentence. What has actually happened? Nothing. Okay? Nothing of substance has happened about drug pricing, and it's getting worse and worse. And I assure you, it's very unlikely anything will unless the American public really demand it. I'm going to end this intro video with one story. This is, just remember as you're reading all this stuff, lots of details. I love details. It's simple. I've explained this story to lots of friends and family now. Right? I like to use a story of my wonderful old neighbor. His name is Bill. He's 88 years old with diabetes. He's a good friend, a retired Marine, very conservative voter. And I've explained this to him. He's interested in it. I said, Bill, I've been working on this drug pricing thing for a number of years now. He says, yeah, what's going on? I said, well, I figured out a long time ago, Bill, that the reason these prices are going up is that these drug companies and the insurance companies that are supposed to be protecting us are actually partners. And they have these secret contracts in which the drug companies are giving a percentage of every sticker price increase to these insurance companies, and they're not telling anybody about it. And then they're both passing on the cost to us. The drug companies are making a fortune, and the insurance companies are making a lot too. He says, really? Well, what are they getting paid for? I said, well, they're supposed to be getting paid for helping patients in use of the drug. But instead, a lot of times, they're just paying them for massive price increases for drugs nobody's using anymore. He says, nobody's using anymore? Yeah, so they're getting a lot more money for doing a lot less work. And they're doing this with lots of drugs. He says, wow. And the government knows about this? I said, they sure do. I gave him a lot of information, including a lot of insider witnesses. And unfortunately, they didn't pursue any of them. And then sadly, in recent conversations with Bill, I have to add in the last part of it. Not only did they not do anything, but when myself and my wonderful lawyer, who's working for free, began pursuing this on our own, they came in at the 11th hour to prevent us from pursuing it, despite massive amounts of new evidence, all pointing to the same simple scheme. You know, and Bill's response to that is the same response I've gotten from every person of every political persuasion. Oh my God, you must be kidding. Boy, do we have a problem. And that's the only conclusion I can make as a citizen of this country. Okay? So please, just share this. There's a bunch of other videos. I'm a family doctor by background. I try my best to explain things in, layman's terms. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to do in these videos. People who really are interested in the issues, there's lots of details. I'm a detailed person. Okay? And the videos are designed just to be conversational. Okay? Not to insult anybody. Underneath it all, this is really simple. And we just need to start asking questions to the right people, and we can get to the bottom of this real fast. The good thing is, it can be fixed. It's just not going to be easy now, because it's gone on for a really long time. Okay? So thank you so much. Please share this with anybody and anybody. Okay? Especially people who've been affected by this, which is all of us. We can do something about it together. That is my goal, and really my only goal at this point in time. Thank you very much.